All right, so I got Greg from Ecomize, and Ecomize is a HVAC home energy audit company that works with BG and Pepco in the DC area and Baltimore area. So anyway, Greg, I just wanted to ask you real quick to get started. What was your hiring situation like before we started working together?
Sure, Jonathan. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this, because I think it's important to recognize the challenges that businesses like mine have in meeting our obligations, particularly when you hold large contracts with entities like the state of Maryland or with the utilities, BG and Pepco. You want to make sure you have the resources to fulfill it. So our challenge has been our search for competent, reliable, honest HVAC technicians. And we've been searching for 2 years, utilizing programs like Indeed and Job Seeker and every online ad program that you can think of. And when our paths crossed, I was very concerned. I didn't have a lot of expectation.
Sure. Yeah.
I honestly didn't have high hopes, but quite frankly, we were so frustrated as well, what the heck? We're not getting anywhere. I have jobs backed up for miles, and maybe we can call in a professional to see if maybe they can find somebody that would be compatible and fit on our team. And within a month, Jonathan, you've been able to provide us 2 HVAC technicians, three actually. The one fellow has some personal issues that he's trying to work out with family out of state and commitments he has there. But 2 of the 3 that we found were very experienced. They are going to be a great fit for our team, both on a personal level as well as a professional level. Sure. And they were enthused and brought some excitement, even though they brought 25, 30 years of experience to the table, which is that's fantastic. Sure. They're ramping up very quickly, and they've been able to help us address our pipeline that was lagging due to our lack of ability to find people to get the work done.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as I understand, these contracts are a couple $1 million a piece or more, north of that. Yeah. And so each of these months or weeks that you have backed up, they mean real money being lost, or at least a lot of money being on the line of potentially being lost. Would you, if you could put a number on like how much is at stake, do you mind sharing that?
It's 7 figures, heavy 7 figures, Jonathan. And beyond that, it would just sound like it was tooting our own horn. But the truth of the matter, and this is what it boils down to, as a business owner, you want to be able to service your clients in a timely manner. In the HVAC industry, nobody wants to wait 2 months to get their heating system replaced, particularly if it's down. And as a business owner, if I had a message for any other business owners out there that you might speak to, the phrase I would suggest is opportunity cost. And it's our opportunity lost. And it's the amount of revenue that we could have serviced in the past year or 2, but I didn't have the staff or the capacity or the capability to be able to service it. And I would say that drives straight to the bottom line. And when you have your overhead cost, you have your administrative costs, and you have all of those things that are built in, the less teams or team members you have out generating revenue to offset the in-house cost, the more profitable you're going to be. It's simple business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you've got 40, 45 employees, so it's not like you're a small company just getting started. So with that being said, you're not any stranger to hiring. And so what were some of the challenges that you were experiencing in the process of hiring? Was it that you were just like not getting a lot of volume candidates or go through them all? Or was it that quality wasn't there? What was the hang up, do you think?
And typically, the folks that are in the job market in the spring and the fall are the ones that a company didn't fight hard to retain. So I would be inclined to say our experience was that we had job shoppers that we interviewed for the last couple of years that were guys just looking for the next dollar. Oh, I'm going to leave this job for $1 more to go to that job. We had candidates where they had 7 jobs in 2 years. So those are 2 examples of some of the challenges that we ran into, or just crickets. We pre-scan all the resumes that come in, and unfortunately, I'm not going to take a limited staff out of the field to interview a candidate who's been at 7 jobs in 18 months. It's not worth it. And the nice aspect that you brought to the table, your team brought to the table, Jonathan, is that these candidates have been pre-screened. You felt them out, and it comes along, your request for an interview comes along with an assessment as a professional. And
Sure.
that kind of helps us set our expectations. And that way we can make a decision as to how hard we're going to interview somebody. And your pre-screening allows us to ask some very pointed questions because we look at your review and it cuts to the chase. We don't have folks coming in a sleeveless t-shirt and expecting to represent our company, because we're not going to tolerate that. It's just,
Right.
we have a professional expectation, and they might be the best technician in the world, but I don't want them wearing my company logo, then that's a no-go. So we're quite pleased with the candidates that you found for us so far. And to be quite honest, your cost, I think, is a worthwhile investment, because I've spent thousands of dollars on Indeed alone and met with mixed results. And my time has a cost to it. My HVAC master mechanic has a time value associated with his time, and there's a cost to that. The investment that we made by partnering with you has seemed to have paid off quite well. Very good dividends for the investment.
Well, I appreciate that. And as business owners, you're the chief allocator of resources, right? Determining what's the best use of your time, what's the best use of your manager's time, what's the best use of your office manager's time, and you're in that position to make that call. So I appreciate that perspective. And for someone who's thinking about hiring, working with us, but is not sure whether or not it's going to be worth the investment, what would you recommend to them, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. So first of all, let me clarify that you've done a good job of providing some guys that will help us meet our current demand and catch up our backlog, and that we're looking at adding and growing, because we haven't had to do any advertising or marketing, and the jobs have backlogged on us. So now, for the first time in years, we're looking at the opportunity of being able to actually expand and meet the full potential that we have as we've grown in particular, our HVAC team. But I think one thing to point out is that we're not done growing that department. So good qualified candidates, don't bother using Jonathan, because we're going to take them.
Absolutely.
So I say that.
In the Baltimore area for sure.
Yeah. Nobody in the Baltimore area. We got dibs. And I say that jokingly, because the guys that you brought to the table, I think, are going to be fantastic. All things point to them as being strong additions to our team. But I think more importantly, and I think this goes to maybe your flexibility, we have a lot of energy auditor demand. And I asked you what you knew about that, and you said very little. And in very short time, you were able to understand the industry, interviewing me, gain some feedback for what we were looking for, and then develop a marketing plan to help send some recruits our way. And I would say that's happened in a 2-week time frame. So your responsiveness has been extraordinary. And you've been able to send us opportunities from where folks just weren't responding to our Indeed ads. And we have 2 guys that we have some final interviews to go through. But I would encourage anybody, if they're looking into the face of the recruiting challenge, and you have obstacles, that you should consider just relenting and recognizing that there are folks that do this professionally, that can do all that legwork for you, and that the opportunity cost that you have to run your business is worth the investment into someone such as you, Jonathan. It's been a good decision. Nobody wants to honestly pay for that type of cost.
Sure.
But if it solves the problem, and for each guy that we've added, they're going to generate another $1 million of revenue for us. When you do the math, that's pretty good math. To add a long-term employee, particularly if they're going to be here for 5 or 10 years, the payoff is minuscule for the time that you've invested and the services that you've earned. And that would be my message to other owners, honestly, is don't be frightened by the cost, because if you sit down and really put pencil to paper, if you have the work and it's not getting done because you don't have the help, you better get somebody to do it. And certainly with the energy auditors, you've demonstrated that you can adapt to professional certifications and find recruits and good candidates very quickly. So I would encourage folks, regardless of the training that you're looking for, to perhaps see if that might be a good fit for the service that you offer.
Well, Greg, I definitely appreciate you sharing all those thoughts and speaking very generously of us as well. And first, I'll just say that I just pour myself into each company that we work with, because just like yourself, every single job is an opportunity to either win business and do well, provide for the family, or at the same time, not do well, gain a bad reputation, and have that cascade further down. It's not a very big community that we serve, and folks know each other. So it's important for me to make sure that my reputation stays intact and grows over the course of time. But I really appreciate working with you, because the biggest difference between a good company to work with and a bad company to work with, from my perspective, is whether or not they're responsive, whether or not they are taking this relationship seriously as well, and whether or not they're going after these folks that we're bringing to the table, and just whether or not they have a good company in general as a company for me to sell, right? A salesperson is only as good as the company that he's selling. And so to work with a good company that is easy to promote, it makes a huge difference. So appreciate
it. Well, thank you.
And I'm looking forward to continue working with you.
That sounds great, Jonathan. I appreciate the time.